Before we begin, a gentle reminder. This episode includes themes of coercive control and emotional abuse, including isolation, humiliation, and criticism related to gender roles and domestic expectations. There are no graphic details, but some moments may feel heavy or familiar. Please take care of yourself while listening. Hi, and welcome back to episode 13 of After the Quiet. When people talk about renovations, they usually talk about dust. The noise, the mess, the stress. But for me, living through renovations wasn't just about building a house. It was about building a life, and realizing that the life I was building came with conditions. Because the house wasn't the only thing being built. A version of me was being built too. One that was quieter, more obedient, more wife-like. And I didn't even notice at first how much of myself I was giving away to make it all work. We lived through renovations. Not the kind of renovations where you still have a functioning kitchen and you just pick paint colors. The kind where things are unfinished, where you're stepping over tools, where the house doesn't feel like a home yet, where nothing is settled. And when nothing is settled, it's easy to start believing you're the problem. Because you can't relax. You can't get comfortable. You can't get anything right. I spent many Friday nights alone, while he went out with his friends to play hockey. And I want to pause there for a second. Because this is one of those things that sounds normal if you say it quickly. He played hockey, I stayed home. Lots of couples do that. But for me, it wasn't just alone time. It was loneliness. It was the feeling of being left behind. It was the message, spoken and unspoken, that my needs were not the priority, that my role was to wait and to be grateful. And somewhere in that season, I realized I had to learn how to cook. Not because I wanted to, but because I felt pressure. Pressure to become what he expected. Pressure to be a proper wife. And I didn't even fully understand what that meant. Because no matter what I did, it never seemed to be enough. He would often make fun of me for not knowing how. And it wasn't just playful teasing. It was mocking. It was the kind that makes you feel small. The kind that makes you stop asking questions. The kind that makes you afraid to try because you know you'll be criticized either way. He blamed it on my parents. He would say I was spoiled, that my parents didn't teach me the proper way to be a wife. And what's painful about that is, I started believing him. I started thinking, maybe I really am behind. Maybe I really don't know how to do life. Maybe I need someone to teach me. And it didn't stay private. He would even say it to my mom's face. That was her fault I didn't know how to cook or maintain the house. And I remember feeling two things at the same time. Embarrassment and anger. But mostly embarrassment. Because when you're being controlled, embarrassment becomes a leash. It keeps you quiet. It keeps you compliant. It makes you try harder instead of speaking up. My mom would remind him, calmly but firmly, that we dated for 8 years. He knew who I was. He saw the state of my room growing up. He knew I had a tendency to be in a creative mess of space. That I wasn't careless. I was creative. That my mind didn't work in perfect lines. And I loved her for that, because she wasn't insulting me. She was defending my nature. And she would remind him of something else too. Something so obvious, but somehow always ignored. I had a full-time career. I worked as many hours as him outside the home. So why was I expected to do everything inside the home too? Why was it automatically my job? Why was it my failure if the house wasn't perfect? Why is it my fault if dinner wasn't impressive? My mom would say, in front of him, that he could easily share the burden with me. That marriage is a partnership. That the home belongs to both people. That the work should belong to both people too. And I remember the silence after she said those things. Because it's the one thing to be criticized in private, but it's another thing to have someone calmly expose the unfairness out loud. And I remember feeling afraid. Not of my mom, but of what would happen later. Because control doesn't like witnesses. Control doesn't like accountability. Control doesn't like someone naming what's true. Living through renovations taught me a lot. Not just about paint colors and budgets, but about emotional labor. And how quickly I could become the default caretaker. About how quickly wife became a role I had to perform. Even when I was exhausted, even when I was working full time, even when I needed help too. And here's the trap. When someone is always criticizing you, you start believing that the answer is to try harder, to be better, to learn faster, to fix yourself. You don't realize that the goalpost keeps moving. Because the point isn't improvement. The point is control. And slowly, the emotional cost adds up. You stop trusting yourself. You stop feeling proud of what you do. And even when you accomplish something, even when you get dinner on the table, even when you keep the house going, it never feels like success. It feels like survival. If you're listening and you've ever been mocked for not knowing something, if you've ever been shamed for not meeting someone's expectations, if you've ever been told you're not wife material or not doing it right, especially when you're working full-time and doing everything you can, I want you to hear this clearly. You were not failing. You were being trained to doubt yourself. In the next episode, I'll talk more about what early married life looked like behind closed doors, the emotional patterns, the pressure, and how quickly I learned to keep parts of myself hidden to keep the peace. Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding this story with care. If this episode stirred something, go gently. This is After the Quiet. Please subscribe to this podcast so you can get updates when new episodes are being released. And also, you are welcome to join our Instagram community at after.the.quiet. If you need support, please reach out to someone you trust or a local support service. You are not weak for needing help. You are human.